This helicopter has been such a blessing already in so many ways. And not only has it allowed us to immediately continue our medevacs and life-saving flights, but it has actually made our work be able to be expanded and safer because it is a more powerful helicopter, and this has allowed us to bring a nurse on almost every medevac now, whereas before the other helicopter was more limited with weight for confined areas. So that allows us to provide better services, better care for our medevacs. And it has also allowed us to bring more supplies to support education projects in the mountains and mission work, and etc. So we're able to bring sometimes several hundred more kilos, or maybe 500 pounds more in one trip. So we can make less trips, making it more efficient for the time. So it's been such a huge blessing just to see all the miracles that God has done from almost, 12 years ago, God preparing this helicopter. You can hear part of that story from the other video, and how he has gotten the helicopter to the Philippines, gotten it out of customs, finally got it here, and now it's been a blessing in the work. It's been reliable. And now behind me you can see some of our fuel drums, and kind of looks like a lot, but in reality it's not. This helicopter has quite a large tank. So one of these drums that you can see here is about 50 gallons. And to fill our tank, it actually takes 3 of these drums. And we're able to do quite a lot with just a drum. The work that we do, of course, is medevacs to remote islands, to remote areas in the mountains, helping underprivileged, etc. But we also support education projects for the indigent, help giving literacy schools and supporting projects like that, as well as our mission work. But the dynamics with the helicopter is a little bit different in that most of the areas that we fly, the people are more poor or not as well off. And so because of the fact that helicopters are expensive to operate, most of them cannot afford to even cover our fuel expenses or anything like that. So of course, being a nonprofit, all of us are volunteers. I don't make any money from doing the flights, but we do have day-to-day operation expenses for fuel, for maintenance, etc. And so, as I said, most of the flights, people are able to not really cover even a fraction of what our cost is. So for those of you that have been following our journey, who have seen God working and would like to continue to participate, this is an ongoing need to help support our fuel rations. We are blessed in the fact that this helicopter was actually designed to operate on a variety of fuels. And so we are able to use lower cost fuels that are certified by the manual that we can purchase locally. So that is a huge blessing. It costs about half as much as it does for one drum of this than it does for avgas or aviation gas, which the other helicopter and some of our airplanes run on. So it is such a blessing to have a lower cost fuel, but it does still cost a lot to keep this ministry going. And so I would say that's our biggest day-to-day ongoing need, is to continue to purchase fuel so that we can keep our operations going even. So for those of you who are wanting some more tangible numbers about how far your support can go in our operations, as I mentioned on a previous video, our tank is actually quite large. It holds 153 gallons, so that's about 3 drums of fuel. Each drum is a little bit less than $200, and while that does sound like a lot, we can actually do quite a lot with those $200 on one drum. Most of our flights here locally are quite short, so we might make a 10-minute flight to the mountain, 10-minute flight back, or less. And we can do a medevac in that time. We can bring in sometimes up to 500 kilos of supplies in one run. And so it's really quite efficient for the small amount of fuel that you may be burning, which may be 10-15 gallons one way for 10 minutes. So for our local flights here in the mountain, we have seen the efficiency of helicopters and aircraft in that because of the steep and rugged terrain, we found that 1 hour of hiking is equivalent to about 1 minute in flying. And in about 7 to 10 minutes, we can carry almost 1,000 pounds of supplies to support education and missions and medical work. And in just 10 or 15 minutes, we can fly out a patient that would take hours to hike. And even when you go further distances to the islands, where we have to load up with 2 or 3 drums, overall the cost is so much lower than any other place in the world because of course we're able to do our own maintenance and run just on fuel and keep our expenses at a minimum because we're all volunteers. In the US, if you were to pay for a medevac flight, you might pay between $25, $50. I had a friend even was charged $100,000 when their family got in a car accident for a medevac helicopter flight. So in reality, the value and what you can do with your support is able to be maximized out here. So those are some numbers for you that are curious, and thank you again for your support.